I'm just going to give you my little simple take, if I may.
So we certainly believe in one God. We believe that God is one, but his complexion is unity. So we believe in one divine being comprised of three co-equal, divine, co-eternal persons, namely the Father, Son, and Spirit.
Don't get what you're saying here, Patrick. Not picking up what you're laying down here, Patrick. Could you use an analogy, Patrick?
I'm just going to give you my little simple take, if I may. All that to say this. God, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit is kind of likened to, as myself. God has a different role to play in the kingdom purposes than Jesus did, and a different role in the Holy Spirit. So myself, I'm a son to my parents. I'm a husband to my wife. I'm a parent to my children. I'm three different roles in one person. Myself, I'm a son to my parents. I'm a husband to my wife. I'm a parent to my children. I'm three different roles in one person.
As James White said in his book, The Forgotten Trinity, it is easy to fall into heresy when you think about the Trinity. If you think, as some Christians may say, that God is like we might be a father and a son and a husband at the same time, he said this is modalism. That's a heresy.
Okay, just like ice and steam and water is all H2O, but different roles and different attributes, if you will. The same thing is true with God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit. Like ice and steam and water is all H2O, but different roles and different attributes, if you will. The same thing is true with God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit.
That's modalism, Patrick! Modalism, an ancient heresy confessed by teachers such as Noetus and Sibelius, which espouses that God is not three distinct persons, but that he merely reveals himself in three different forms. This heresy was clearly condemned in Canon 1 at the First Council of Constantinople in 381 AD, and those who confess it cannot rightly be considered a part of the Church Catholic. Come on, Patrick! Yeah, get it together, Patrick!
And they know they can't have two gods. So then they started to find a way to explain that this Jesus that they're worshiping is Yahweh himself, or somehow Yahweh. And so the idea of the Trinity came to be developed over time. It is a patchwork, joining two things which cannot really be joined. And the seams are always showing, because as James White said in his book, The Forgotten Trinity, it is easy to fall into heresy when you think about the Trinity. If you think, as some Christians may say, that God is like we might be a father and a son and a husband at the same time, he said this is modalism. That's a heresy. So either you err on the side of modalism, or you err on the side of tritheism, where you think of the God of Father, Son, and Holy Spirit as being so distinct from each other that really they become three gods in your mind. So either you err this way or you err the other way.
Christians ask, why do Jews find the idea of the Trinity so problematic when Jews themselves view God as having various attributes, and the Torah itself has different names to reflect these different attributes? So why are Jews so vehement in their rejection of the Trinity? And the answer is the Trinity is not presented as a description of God's actions, but rather the Trinity is presented as a description of God's essence. It's presented as an effort to explain to us who we are to worship. In Judaism, we are to worship one God. All of the attributes that are attributed to God are just to help us understand God's interaction with his creations. Another point that is important to realize over here is that the concept of the Trinity only came up after Christians already accepted the deity of Jesus. It was an effort, a philosophical effort, to justify something they believed already, an absurdity they believed already. To believe a man is God, they had to come up with an idea of the Trinity. It wasn't that they first came up with the idea of the Trinity and that they said, oh, Jesus is the one that fits into the Trinity. Before Jesus came to the world, no one thought of the Trinity. So the Trinity is an excuse for idolatry.